So in our intro worksheet, I'm going to read this. It says, congruent triangles. Two triangles are congruent if and only if the corresponding parts are congruent. CPCTC is an acronym for corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. When two triangles are congruent, all the corresponding parts, the corresponding sides, and the corresponding angles are congruent. So a triangle ABC is congruent to triangle XYZ means that there are 6 other congruent statements, 3 pairs of congruent sides, and 3 pairs of congruent angles. The order of the letters that the triangles give the correspondence. The order of the letters that name the triangles give the correspondence. There you go. So triangle ABC is congruent to triangle XYZ means that angle A is congruent to angle X. Angle B is congruent to angle Y. Angle C is congruent to angle Z. So much to read. Segment AB is congruent to segment XY. Segment BC is congruent to segment YZ. Segment AC is congruent to XZ. So this is just pretty much saying the first few boxes of our notes, like boxes 1, 2, and 3, I think. Yeah, boxes 1, 2, and 3 of our notes. It's just written in paragraph form now without a picture, so it's the same thing. So let's practice that a little bit. For number 1, if triangle FOD is congruent to triangle KLQ, then let me just zoom in here so that you guys can see. We're talking about angle F, which is the first letter of our first triangle. So it should be congruent to angle, first letter of the second one, which is K. Okay, because they're both the first letter. Do you guys have any questions on that? Okay, so then if that's the case, no questions, we are going to have you guys help me out with the next one. So we have PJU congruent to CWA, angle W, which is the second one over here, should be congruent to angle what?
J.
J, yes, because it's the second one over there. Good job. Okay, if triangle wet is congruent to triangle dry, then segment WE, which is the first two, should be congruent to segment what? What letters?
DR.
Good, because those are the first two of that triangle as well. Nice. Okay, one more time for this little side of the worksheet. If triangle cat is congruent to triangle dog, then segment DO should be congruent to what segment?
CA.
CA, great, because those are the first two letters. Because remember, CPCTC, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. It's so hard to say that. It's a tongue twister, but yes, good job. Do you guys have any questions?
Is it okay, because on Google Docs, you can't really put the line on top of the letters.
Just put the letters,
so
it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
Good question.
So it's not entirely necessary to put the line above the letter?
I mean, it is, it's just that you can't, so I'm not gonna hold that against you, you know? The point of this today is so that you know what letters to put in what order. It's not whether you are able to put a line or not, but on the Google Forms test, you should put the line, or you should select the option that has the line, okay? But we don't have to worry about that today, because you can't. Okay, let's do the evens now. We have KFO is congruent to SQZ, then F, angle F is congruent to angle what?
Q.
Q, yes. They are both the second letter. Remember, the order matters, so whatever order they appear, they show the corresponding parts. Okay, if triangle mug is congruent to triangle T, then angle E is congruent to angle
U.
U. Good job. Okay, If triangle WAR is congruent to triangle VET, then line segment ET is congruent to
AR.
line segment AR. They're both the last two letters over here. Okay, if triangle arm is congruent to triangle leg, then segment AM, so the first and third,
LG.
LG. Good job. Good, good. Any questions on those? And then I see a few questions that I didn't answer earlier. Will I post this worksheet on the website? Yes, I will. I forgot I posted before, sorry. And then, is this in the book? No, it's not in the book. This is just on the Google Classroom right now. And yeah. Okay, any other questions of this?
No.
Alrighty.
Copy.
Uh-oh. Could you say that again? Sorry. I think I heard the word copy. You're still copying? Pretty sure we're lagging pretty badly here.
We have to make a copy of this, huh?
Oh, we have to copy. Oh,
Yeah.
if you're doing this on a separate piece of paper, it would help you to copy it.
Yes.
Miss Jade.
Yes?
So you know how I said like I'm doing it on Google Docs?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Do you want me to share it with you, or do you want me to attach it on the
Attach it.
on the attach it? Okay.
Yeah, attach it.
Just wanted to make sure.
Thank you. Good question. Okay, is anyone still copying? I just show all 8 of them.
Miss Jade,
Uh-huh.
I typed it in the chat, but I also wanted to say that I'm pretty sure that everyone's student mail already has Cami downloaded on it. You just have to like get it running and like make an account so you can use it.
Oh, okay, thank you.
They got tanks, of course.
Huh? Oh, okay. All right, let's do some of these. I'm looking at the time, and we have half an hour left. Okay, so we're gonna do parts of this. We're not gonna do the whole thing, okay? So we're gonna circle the congruent parts of the triangles. If the triangles are congruent, fill in the congruent statement and state why.
They killed Kenny, you bastards.
Oh, let's watch our language, guys. If the triangles are not congruent, write not congruent and do not fill in the congruent statement. Okay, so we have, I don't know how we're gonna really circle it so much, but we're gonna do it anyways. So you see this side with one line? That is congruent to this side with one line. If you're doing this on Cami or Google Docs, I don't think you can circle it, it's fine. Then we're gonna circle this angle is congruent to this angle. And then we're going to circle this side is congruent to this side. Huh?
You can circle it. There's this like
I know you can add
you
a
could
circle,
circle
but
it
it's
on
gonna like, I know you can add circles and ovals, but I don't know if you can like rotate them to this angle. It's just a technical thing. But if you're able to do it, go for it. If you don't know how to do it, it's fine. Okay, so here we have SAS, let's see, side, and then the angle, and then a side. Let's take a look at our notes and see if this is acceptable. Side, angle, side is definitely acceptable. So these are congruent triangles by SAS. You can kind of already tell I wrote SAS there, so I knew it was acceptable. But now we're going to have to label it corresponding and with the corresponding letters. So A goes first. That means F goes first because those are corresponding corners.
Miss
B goes
Jade,
next, then D, and then E. Yes?
are there supposed to be triangles there already?
Yes. So I think if you open it on Google Docs, it might come out a little bit wonky.
EESAS.
Yeah. So maybe open it
Wait,
on Cami or just copy down the letters. I'm not sure if you do it on Google Docs and you just type it in, maybe later it'll save with the triangles again.
I don't recommend using Google Docs because when you like put in a worksheet, it like scrambles all the words in the text and stuff, and it can be confusing. So I would try Cami again, but if you still don't know how to use it, I would just recommend like writing it on a piece of paper and like taking a picture of it and turning it in.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
okay.
good suggestion. Okay. Let's do number 10. So number 10, we have that this side, or this angle, my bad. This angle is congruent to this angle. Then this side is congruent to this side. And then this angle is congruent to this angle. So we have ASA. Is this acceptable? Let's take a look. Is angle side angle acceptable? According to our notes, it is. So that means these are congruent triangles. So we have to label them with their corresponding letters. So G goes first. G is the side, the corner that corresponds to T. Then they have L. L corresponds with R. How do I know that? It's because if you look at the angles, this L is marked with 2 arc thingies, and then the R is also marked with 2 arc things. And then last but not least, they put F, and so we're going to put D. Because those are the corresponding parts. Okay, do you guys have questions on those two? Do people need more time to type or write? Okay, let's do 11 and 12. So starting with 11, we have this is the side, that's congruent to the side. We also have this one congruent to this one. This one congruent to this one. So we have 3 sides, so this is S, S, S. Let's see, according to our notes, is this acceptable? I know it is, but where is it? Okay. S, S, S is right over there, side, side, side. So we have 2 congruent triangles by SSS, and we must label them with their corresponding parts. So they had L first.
No.
L corresponds with E. Just want to remind you guys to watch your language and also remember to mute yourselves. Okay. Then we have Z is the next part. Z corresponds to G. Oh, I didn't even write it. I got distracted. So E was first, G is next, and then last they put P, which corresponds with S. So we have EGS, kind of like eggs. And I did get a question in the chat. I don't know if that's an old question, but I'll answer it anyways. Ouch. With the notes, are we supposed to copy them or just print and annotate them? So with the notes, like these notes, you can do either, but if you copy them, eventually I'll offer extra credit for the hand copied notes, okay? So you can get started and copy them now, but then you're not gonna have enough time because I go over them pretty fast, and look at all the words that are here, you're not gonna finish in time. So probably just,
Miss Jade,
copy it later. Yes?
I'm using Cami right now, but either way, it still doesn't show the triangles.
Really,
Like
that's weird.
those.
When I opened it on Cami, it showed. I guess
don't
I would
know.
suggest if it's not showing on your Cami, you can just copy it on a piece of paper and then take a picture of it and upload it.
Do I have to draw all the triangles and stuff?
No, there's so much time.
Okay.
Just label everything like number 11, number 12, so that when you look back on it later on, you know exactly what everything is, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Let's take a look at number 12. We have R and D. Those are one angle. And then we also have another angle and another angle that are congruent. We finally have a side and a side that are congruent. So we have AAS. And let's see if this is allowed. AAS. Angle, angle, side. It's right there. Angle, angle, side is definitely allowed. So we have to label it with the corresponding parts. They start off with F. So we're going to start off with Y, because those are the corresponding parts. And then they went to R, which is the one with the one tick mark. So we're going to put D.
Ms. Jade, are these all the answers that we've done so far? Or is there more like up?
It's just those.
Oh, okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
because you're like recopying it, huh? I'm sorry. And then we finally have Z.
Yeah, it's okay. I got it.
Okay. So we just did those four. Let me check the time. I think we're okay. We're not going to finish this one, by the way, but it's okay. We don't have to. Online learning is hard anyways, so I'm just going to reduce it as much as I can. Okay, any questions on this part? Anyone still copying this part? Alrighty, I'm going to zoom out. Let's skip a few so that we can go to the last section, and then that way you guys can maybe start the homework in class, hopefully. So on this section, for each figure, mark all the congruent parts that are given, then mark any congruent part that can be implied. Then complete the proof statement and identify the postulate that can be used to prove the triangle is congruent if possible. If the triangles are not congruent, write not congruent and do not fill in the congruent statement because they are not congruent. Okay, so we're going to be labeling, like making these marks. Like, you know how these have like all these angles and like the tick marks, stuff like that, but the bottom ones don't, so we're gonna be the ones drawing it. So for this one, if you're doing it on a piece of paper, I want you to draw it. Okay, not for the other one. So we have that AB is congruent to RT. So that's AB and RT. These two sides are congruent, which means I mark them like this. As long as you put the same amount of marks on that side, then you know that those are congruent. I'm going to switch color now. We have BC is congruent to TD. So BC is over here and TD is over here. So I put two tick marks so that I know that both of those sides are congruent. And then last but not least, we have angle ACB. ACB, I'll do that in green. That's right over here. Is congruent to RDT. So how did I know that that angle was ACB? Start at A, go to C, go to B. It's this angle. And then same thing for RDT. RDT, it's this angle. So that's how you know which angle it is they're talking about. Okay, so then let's see. They are saying prove that triangle ABC is congruent to next one, let's see if this is actually even possible to prove. So we have a side that's congruent, right? Then we have another side, the purple one, that's congruent. And then we have an angle that's congruent. So over here we have SSA. So let's take a look to see if SSA is allowed. SSA is not allowed. So that means our two triangles are not congruent. Okay, because SSA is not allowed. Notice I did not put ASS. But yeah, SSA is not allowed. So I'm going to put over here, we're not saying that they are congruent. I'm just going to ignore that and I'm just going to write not congruent. Any questions on this one? Okay, always interrupt me if you have a question. I'm totally okay with that, especially because I can't see your hands. But let's do number 20 now then. 20 says xy is congruent to fd, so xy is over here, fd is over here. Just gonna mark that in with one tick mark. I'll also show that y in a different color. I'll also show that yz is congruent to fr. So I'll put two tick marks over there. And last but not least, we have over here, xz is congruent to dr. So those I'm going to mark with three tick marks. So what do we have here? We have a side, another side, and another side. So we have SSS. Is this a congruence theorem? Go back to the notes, and SSS is right over here. So this is a congruence theorem. It is allowed. That means our triangles are congruent. And so we must write out the letters in the order that they should be in. So here they go X, Y, Z, so they start with that one, which corresponds with D. So I'm going to put D first, because D corresponds with X. The next one they put is Y. So Y corresponds with F, so I'm going to put F next, because Y corresponds with F. And then last but not least, they put Z, which for ours corresponds with R. Okay, any questions on this one? Okay, let's check the time. We got 15 minutes. I think we're okay with those. Let's do some harder ones, like maybe 23 and 24. Okay, so we have AD is congruent to DC. So I mark those in. We have AB is congruent to BC. So I mark those in. And that's all they give us. However, I want you to also note that this one is implied that BD is itself. And so it's part of both triangles, right? BD is shared between both of these triangles. So really we have that we got 1, 2, 3 sides. So we have SSS. And if you remember from the notes, SSS is a congruence theorem. So that means these are congruent triangles because they have three congruent corresponding sides. So with that, we need to label their corresponding parts. So we have B on the top, which corresponds with B on the other triangle as well. A is what they list next, which corresponds with C. And then D is last, which corresponds with itself. So we have triangle BAD is congruent to triangle BCD. Any question on this one? Because it got slightly more complicated.
I just want to know how you got the letters together.
Oh,
Like, I
letters?
don't understand how you got BCD.
Okay. So let me erase some stuff on here. Just make it look cleaner first. Oops. Give me a moment. So we had that, and we had that, and we have this one. Okay, so these two triangles are like, they are congruent, so they are the essentially copy paste of each other, except that one of them's kind of flipped around. Do you agree that, what color should I use? A and C, can you see that A and C correspond with each other?
Yeah, they're congruent.
Yeah, so that's why the A and the C are in the middle. And then if you just look at the shape of this triangle, A and C do correspond with each other because
A and C. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
then
got it. Okay.
if you look at, let's say if you're looking at just the angles, maybe look at how these two angles look the same, right? Like it looks completely different from this angle that's at the corner D.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then B would correspond with itself. Because if you're looking at the angle, they look like the same type of angle.
Wait, so why isn't it ACB?
ACB. Oh, because they gave us this order. BAD. So you have to first list it with B because B corresponds with itself. Then you list it with the A because A corresponds with C. And then you list it with D because D corresponds with its.
Okay.
So you kind of just have to go off of the order of whatever the worksheet problem is giving you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I get it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good question. I like that. So we're going to do the same thing, but for number 24 as our last example. So let's start off with AB is congruent to AD. So AB is over here, AD is over here. So those two are congruent. We also have that BG. Where is BG? BG, okay. BG is congruent to DC. So we have that one. And then we have, well, that's all they give us, but we do have one more thing that's implied, and it's that we have a vertical angle right over here. A vertical angle, remember, is like when you can make a bow tie out of it. See, a bow tie? So those two angles are congruent. So I'm just going to leave it looking like that. Okay, I just saw a question. For the y, is it always SSS or how does that work? No, it's not always SSS. So let me zoom out. Oh, it does look like it's always SSS just because I chose it. But the y could be, this is like the y portion. It could say SAS, it could say ASA, it could say AAS. It just depends on, oh, give it a moment to load. It depends on what the problem gives us, like which parts they tell us are congruent. Load, please. Great. We're gonna have to wait a little bit. Okay, there we go. So it depends on what they give us. So here they gave us 3 sides, so it has to be SSS. But on the current example, example number 24, they do not give us 3 sides. They give us an angle. You know what? I'm not going to start with that one. They give us a side. They give us another side, and then they give us an angle. So we have SSA here.
Wait,
Yes?
wait, so wouldn't it be? Shoot, I was gonna say it. Okay. Never mind.
Never mind?
Okay.
Okay. If you end up having a question, feel free to ask, okay?
Yeah.
We have SSA. Taking a look over here. No SSA.
No, I was just gonna say, I was gonna say that.
Did you disconnect?
No, I was gonna say SAS because the angles are in the middle.
Oh, okay. So it's not SAS because if it was SAS, then you would have, what color should I use? This color.
No,
It would
I
be
was
here
going
for
to
SAS.
say SAS.
Wait, you were gonna say what? You're a little bit choppy. Sorry, it's hard to hear.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I think you're lagging because you just sound really choppy.
I'll type it in the chat.
Oh, okay. So if you were going to say SAS, that's when like in your triangle, you have like a side, an angle, and then a side. This is SAS because the angle is like in between them. So you kind of just got to go in order. Like here, okay, wait. So if you're going in order, you kind of curve around your triangle. So you can start with S, go to A, go to S, and then it's SAS. In our example here, if you're just curving around the triangle to see all the stuff that they gave us, you start off with a side. We're not talking about this angle at all, like we just skip it. So it's not SAS, it's S, and then the next thing we get is another S, and then the last thing we get is an A, so it's SSA. Okay, cool. Said thanks in the chat. You're welcome. Yeah, I know the internet was so bad, I couldn't hear you for like a good 3 minutes. But yeah, so we have SSA, and according to our notes, SSA does not give you congruent triangles. So all you have to write here is not congruent. Okay. Okay, so I know we had lots of internet issues and whatever else going on with Cami, but I thank you guys for being patient with me as always. We have 7 minutes left, so I'm just going to get you guys started on the Google form, but since it's homework and it's 7 minutes, I'll stay here for 7 minutes if you guys have questions, but you're also free to just go if you feel comfortable with this homework. So I'm going to end the recording.